Hello everyone, welcome to the Chiroptera project. I'm Daniel and today I'll be telling you a story from a few years ago when I first started game development and where Blender fits in and the events around that. So before I started game development I was interested in Chiroptera. Around 2013 I wanted to start building a game, simulating the world from Chiroptera's perspective and get close to the world of Chiroptera. When I first asked about building a video game, I was recommended Unreal Engine 3 and Blender. I downloaded Unreal Engine 3 and Blender and started trying to build a video game. I created some Blender assets for the game and it did not take backface curling into as consideration. Today is called face orientation in Blender. So I did not know that at the time and left my meshes how they were. This was very good, except I still wanted to work on building a game. They recommended to me to use Unreal Engine 4 and that gave me a better place to start. I dived into C++ or Unreal Script and it got very hard, and I was eventually felt like 2 years was really only 1 year. When I had it with that, I finally checked out Blueprints. I had more progress in 1 week than I had in an entire year of working with Unreal Script. So I was really annoyed by that and had lost a lot of time trying to understand Unreal Script. I continued to use Blender Blueprints for all my game and recreated the project. By this point I had a basic understanding of Blender. It was now 2015. While I was working on Unreal Motion graphics, it was taking too long. I felt like all the pieces for this game were not really coming together. This was mainly working on the game GUI, which is the main menu for the game, and I didn't really go any further into it, but yeah. I looked for another game engine, created a Unity account. I found this video by someone with a YouTube channel named Extra Credits. That video represented exactly what I had done and what I should have done. I realized that I was doing it all wrong from the start and was not taking scope into consideration. Programming is not as simple as just putting the game together. Yes, the game engine may have been built with a basic framework around the video game that you are trying to build, but you have to build and code for the framework, and programming is really hard, especially compiling. Compiling can really hold you up. So I did not consider how hard building a video game is until I had tried to build one. Always think about scope in your projects. So from 2013 to 2016 I had lost 3 years to learn the game development lesson of scope. This did not work, and I had started a Unity game and a number of started Unreal Engine 4 games. So I really need to let everyone know that for beginners, use the most suitable game engine for what you are trying to build. There's many tutorials, many recommendations out there. People have different ideas on what you should use. I would personally recommend Unity, but the Unreal Engine Blueprints can be really good, especially if you're trying to build a first-person shooter game. And C++ is only for use by professionals. If you're a beginner, don't even try to use programming languages if you feel it's necessary not to do so. I mean, I said Unity, so yeah, you can use programming language time. Anyway, so I also worked on a small application named JS Chiroptera, that is a HTML application, that ended up as a collaborative with someone else. This was during Year 12. In 2018 I had finished Year 12 and was doing Information Technology Certificate 4 at Box Hill. I was still updating my custom maps in Minecraft and working on desktop backgrounds in Blender. By this point I thought Blender was the best 3D application there is, and still oh man, sometimes in the script. Yeah, and I still think Blender is really a fantastic application. One of the backgrounds I started in Blender was a shark, which I still have. The hackerspace I was going to had stopped, so I could no longer attend. In 2019 I moved all my desktop backgrounds into its own folder and started a list that records the dates and the projects that I worked on. I started a HTML game and I had always liked W3 Schools, If you're doing web development, I highly recommend W3 Schools. And if they have the programming language you're mentioning on there, because they have a few unusual ones, I highly recommend using W3 Schools as your starting point. I started uploading some of my projects to YouTube, which I've got a few videos and will continue to produce more. I have failed Information Technology Certificate 4 at Box Hill because CCN 8.1 and a networking course. In 2020 I started this Secrum project and had given up on game development again during 2020. Yeah, HTML. Game development zone is fine. The good news is I had some ideas of what I was doing. I had some concept together. I had built numbers of versions of this HTML game, but unfortunately all of them were like very different to each other, and some of them just straight up were broken, and I found them unfixable. Not to mention all the compiling issues you have when trying to build a video game. So I really had issues working on game development. I really had issues working on game development. I really needed to stop. Then used Shark for my desktop backgrounds and Secrum for my phone backgrounds. I was unable to attend web development courses. This did not have enough students. So for now, this is where the story ends there. That leaves me with this YouTube channel. The reason that I named this YouTube channel the Chiroptera Project is to do with my gaming experience. It started with The Last Bat, then The Last Chiroptera, which was a 2D version, and then it went to Unity, and now the Chiroptera Project presents all the projects I had done over the years. I wanted to keep names roughly similar to each other. I'm also bad at creating names, which is why some of them are very uncreative. So in 2018 I really got to appreciate just how much Blender has done for me. Many of the projects I now work on would have never, I mean literally never, been possible without Blender. Blender, being a free to download open source, gave me the opportunity to build and create things like never before. Although being less powerful than a lot of the highly professional applications like Maya, it shows that Blender has more than enough power to do the very great things that I am able to obtain without a massive price tag. So there is a gap between that Blender is constantly trying to fill, and each version Blender is constantly trying to make themselves the best. And it'll be I'm keen to see whether they'll get there. I mean, they probably, look, I don't actually think they'll get there, but I reckon they'll get so close. No one's going to really mind anymore. So, if you want the power of Blender yourself, try it now and experience the power of Blender can give you. No, I am not sponsored by Blender, but I do find Blender highly epic and highly awesome. So whether you'd like to like, dislike, or subscribe is completely up to you, as I should not be telling you what you should do. Thank you for listening.